this weekend, gone for the last few days, so, as Mayor Pro Tem, at least officiating the calls on me. And I appreciate the trust that my fellow councilmen have placed in me by Mayor Pro Tem. See if I stand up to the challenge here. We're calling an executive special meeting of the council, public hearing of the governing body of the city of Bungo. And I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Mayor Mike absent. I'm Pro Tem Bobby Mike McClung present.
Ryan.
Present.
Councilmember Swenson. President. Councilmember Cargill.
Present.
Councilmember Moore.
Present.
With quorum.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
I would stand to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the Constitution
And the United States of America. And to one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honors.
Flag of the United States, one state under God, one indivisible.
Open the public hearing. Announcements. And no one signed up. And no announcements. The mayor's away. Then I'll go through the public hearings. Open the public hearing on the adoption of the proposed fiscal 2024-25 municipal budget. And this budget will raise more revenue and property tax than last year's budget by an amount of $256,380, which is an 18% increase in revenue from this year's budget. And with that, Warren, I think I'll just toss it over to you.
Okay, so
Presentations and comments. And
are you looking at the public hearing and then closing it, and
no, I am in the public hearings.
is there anyone signed up to the
No,
public hearing?
there's no one signed up to talk.
Close the public hearing. That would probably include item number 2 in the public hearings.
Correct.
There's no one signed up to speak. Those both public hearings. Consent agenda. Item 1 is approval of the holiday schedule for 2025.
Taking holidays?
That's what I was thinking.
Let's see that packet.
Oh, I'm having some packet problems here, so I'll be watching on the big screen.
So you're gonna do the holiday schedule, and then are you going to table the second item, which is the organizational chart for October?
Yeah, I think for a couple of reasons, with mayor being absent, it's appropriate, I think, the meeting in October, and that gives the council some time to input and comments as well. I think it's the first time we've seen, many of us have seen the actual work.
Mr. Escoffield, has there been any changes made to the holiday schedule from last year?
No, there has not. This generally follows the county.
I wanted to request that we add Juneteenth, because that's a national holiday.
That's my birthday also.
Double. I think it's June 19th.
It is.
Got a motion?
I'll move to approve the Blanco holiday schedule 2025 with the addition of Juneteenth.
Awesome. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimous.
And then we'll all be over Bobby's.
That's right. All right, that takes care of the consent agenda for new business. Yeah, and I guess I've jumped the gun on tossing this your way. Consideration, discussion, and take action on approval of funding public works progress at $1.5 million adjust the INS tax to fund such projects. Just a little quick background, I'll toss it over to this one. That was, we had passed on or delayed what we had approved before of 2.5 million, and we've adjusted that number. So your feedback and guidance on that would be helpful.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. I want to give you a little bit of background. We've been going through before different budget workshops. The INS tax rate that you have been posted for 30 days as required was the total tax rate of 39.78 cents of the tax rate. And what we're talking about here is we're looking at an increase of the tax. Basically, I'm going to go backwards and talk a little bit about during the budget season, the city council looked at taking on a debt service, INS for $3.4 million for subsidized loan to the Texas Water Development Board, with the $512,000 forgiveness, which is basically a grant. This 3.4, $500,000 took care of 3 water lines that had been the biggest leakers, really still the biggest leakers that we have. And in a sense, yes, it's a tax increase, but this is a subsidized amount. The other thing that the council looked at was an additional $1.5 to $2.5 million for certificates of obligation for 3 to 4 specific things. First of all, I want to mention to you that that's called the 2024 A, which is a certificate of obligation, originally $2.5 million. At the last month's meeting, the Youth Council had agreed to basically delay this till October 8th. So today is more about the funding of the 1.5 or $2.5 million project and not necessarily the actual approval of the specific projects. But in talking about that, the $1.5 million would go to filter to waste completion of the water plant. That got started in 2020. That water plant really time is money. If we don't get this done now, it will just sit there. And so the idea is to spend the $462 to complete that, and then the city will look at different ways to get some of that money back from the original engineer that created the problem. So that's the first issue. The second would be the sewer installation from 15th Street to near the city limits on the north side, which is about $600,000. I'll remind you that we have this council has 2 things that there's basically promises to that. One was an MOU for a gas station, and the other one was someone that had claimed this that sewer needed to provide in this property. So you really have 2 properties already that are looking at this, and there'll be more to come. So that's the second one. The VFDs are $30,000, which measure the water amounts coming out of the generators, and then 10 fire hydrants for $100,000. The retaining wall town center for about $150,000. And these are more about the project. This is less about the projects and more about the amount of debt service you want to put on there. And these are some of the suggestions, with the first one being the one that has to get approved eventually, because we have to have a water plant. So, like I said, October 8th, council will officially approve the 2024 A with modifications on the homes, but you'll have to make a decision on that point. But tonight is really more about funding. So, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the proposed rate, and we'll go back and forth. So what's been posted is a 39.78 cents tax rate, so $400 valuation. You did $1.5 million for the CO, that adds 0.9 cents, so almost a penny. And the reason why it's only a penny when you see that the INS goes up 2 cents is because compacts the M&O. So, the M&O was down a little bit, it's 0.17 instead of 1.78, and, the INS goes to 2394 instead of 2198. So essentially, it's 0.9% of the total add to the ad valorem. And then the 2.5, I believe, is above the voter approved, so we're not recommending.
Can you specify, can you go into that a little bit so we all understand it, so the folks here in the gallery understand what that voter approval rate is?
Okay, so I'll see if I can explain this a little better. There are two parts to the ad valorem taxes. There's what we call INS, which is your interest in sinking, which is like your debt space. And there's your M&L, which funds your general fund, which is maintenance and operation. We talked a little bit about why the INS went up from what it was last year to this year, and it's because you took on 3.5 million of debt. If you take on another $1.5 million in debt, you're adding 0.9 cents to the overall tax rate, which is your INS and M&O bond. Find that well enough?
Yeah, but you mentioned that we're still under the voter approved.
You are into the voter
Can you
approval.
explain? Define exactly what that is. Cost rate.
Okay, so whenever the CAD sends me all the tax worksheets that they send me a noted revenue tax rate, which is the basis to where the tax rate will stay the same, where we are raising no more revenue. It's based on, and even though we have a higher appraisal and have more coming in, it will base that tax rate on that amount that they have proposed us this year to not raise any additional revenues over what we did last year. So that's how it sets it. The voter approval rate, however, is one that we have to stay, and that's part of their worksheet. I'm not familiar enough with that unless I can over the first, and then I'm not going to do that. Understand that we need to fall in between those, or sit at the voter approval rate. You cannot go above the voter approval rate without having the rate.
It's one way to look at that is to pre-approve the voters that we couldn't.
That is correct. That is correct.
Thanks for that explanation, Warren. We're below that.
We are below that, about a penny. And I do want to mention something because, we have been above the voter approval before, and what that means is that the community could force a vote. Doesn't necessarily mean there would be a vote, but you definitely want to be under the voter approved or at the voter approved rate. I'd like to show you a couple of different things here as well.
Well, and just to kind of give a little more, if you end up, whenever you do raise your debt obligation, that raises that voter approval rate. So when we have a 1.5 debt obligation, our proposed right now is 0.4180. The 1.5 goes to 0.4376. So we are still way under that voter approval rate, because once you increase that debt obligation, it increases that voter approval rate. And then the 2.5 sits at 0.4510. So 45 cents, 44 cents, and 42 cents. So right now on the proposed, we're at 42.
And one of the things staff did to kind of show both the community and council, wanted to kind of explain, because sometimes you hear about these tax rates and you're like, is it high or low? And I will tell you, obviously, we pulled some. We wanted to make sure, we kind of wanted to look at them and wanted to assure you that we are not that high. So it's at 47 plus cents for $100 valuation. Bastrop's almost at 50. Llanos almost at 53. Burnett's at over 60. And you see on and on. Marble Falls, Leon Valley, Kirby. There's a few that are lower than us, but there's not that many. The majority of communities are higher than us, as far as ones that we were in before. Obviously, if you go to the DFW, that area, they're 60, 70 cents, but I just want to kind of look at areas around the whole country that you can kind of see. But those ag warm taxes. Generally, ag warm taxes are higher in communities that don't have as much sales tax. So a couple of other communities that have higher sales tax will have lower. And we're kind of a combination, but there are a lot of things that I do want to mention it. The reason why we had to put on this debt was to fix the things that we hadn't fixed before. We did lower by 2 pennies the M&O rate, and we did reduce our general fund by 2 police officers and 1 person in the office, and so we tightened our belt to try to make this all work. But this will be the tax rate, the communities, and then going back to
Could you share that document with the council?
I can do that. I haven't yet. I can definitely do that.
Be helpful when we get questions. Sure.
Going back to the voter group rate, that's something that's set by the state, right? It's not like the people of Lakeville voted.
That is correct. And it's a percentage of something that was part of it, like I said.
I think it's 3.5%. Yeah, I think that's the current cap.
If it went over that, you would automatically have to have a lot.
Well, there's 2 tiers.
Yeah.
There's one even higher, that if you go over that automatic election.
5%.
But this voter approved rate, you subject yourself to potential petition. A petition is presented, you have to have an election. So if you get over that, yeah, I don't advise it unless you want to put yourself in that position.
We'll be there like.
Well,
So
I just don't remember exactly. I think it's like 3.5. I see it's or something. I could check that again.
So what I'll say is this: in the years that we did not add any additional debt, it's 3.5% on the M&O. And use your interest sinking stays the same. But in this case, the reason why we went up these percentages is because you're taking on additional debt for specific projects.
That we have to finish.
What's that?
And part of that is funded by the Texas Water Development Board
Right.
at a very low percentage.
Of $3.4 million and then up to 3.9, but with the 3.4, that's about 2.8 to 2.9% instead of about 4 and 4.4 that we normally be subjected to. So we saved over 30 years, we saved about $1 million.
And in your proposed use of this 24A includes, as you said, filtered waste, through extension of more city limits, which are, in my opinion, been obligated to do a long time. EFTs, what is that?
That's very low frequency,
That's meters.
meters.
And replacing 10 fire hydrants. And
That's where the pump's coming out of it. Stallion tank.
I think it's important.
Oh, yes.
So the this is what, the recommendation is the $1.5 million. The listed items are items that you can consider, and on October 8th, then you'll actually prove which items that you want. So right now, we're talking more about the amount of money, but I have to, I can't just say staff's recommending $1.5 million of an increase, and wow, we don't have anything to show you. I just wanted to give you this. Obviously, the first one you'll need to approve. Everything else is really up to you to decide. Yeah, we want to do sewer installation, and we don't. We want to do VFDs, and we don't. I mean, most of these are really needed.
The point I wanted to make there is that the retaining wall at Town Creek is included in that list. I know there was some concern about, haven't heard about that, but what's going on. This is going to be fixed, and it's tentatively included for potential improvement.
Yes, sir. And from the administration standpoint, talking to the owners on that wall, which were very concerned about that. And obviously everything is really needed, but that's one that I hear about a lot from the business owners.
You mentioned that with the water treatment plant, we're hopefully getting some of that money back. Right? Do we have a timeline of when that would happen?
No, not a definitive timeline. I'm hopeful it would happen sometime in 2025, calendar year, in this same fiscal year. But I don't have,
Okay, because I was thinking maybe we could, because I really don't want the tax rate to go above 0.4. I was hoping, so I was wondering if we could get this down from 1.5 at all. And I thought maybe if we took the money we get back from that, that could do the fire hydrants and the VFDs or some portion. I think, to me, I think the water treatment plant and the sewer are kind of must do's to me, and then Town Creek is the teeny one is pretty boring. But I was really, if we could get it down from 1.5,
That would be $130,000 reduction.
Something I did not mention to staff before, but I've emailed this to you. Since you're asking these questions now, one of the things that our financial advisor had mentioned is that you could delay the first payment of this $1.5 million to October 15th of next year. What that would mean, and this is why this is a very like a secondary or a third option. That would mean then you have to raise your INS taxes next year, and you're hoping that the next council or the inner council or this council will actually agree. So you could normally you would actually start paying for this year on your 30-year loan, but you could actually delay it to October 15th next year. But then you have to raise taxes next year. So what I'm saying is, if you decide you don't want to do this year, but you still want the project, it can be done. It's just, I said that to y'all.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You may not even know these numbers yet, but I kind of do. Even if we don't incur the 2024 CO, and you consider just what we've done with $3.4 million that we added debt this year. Even if we account for that in this budget, net debt service. And next year, if we do not raise the MNO at all, do a 0% raise MNO, the INS will still incur such a larger debt service. We will still have to raise the taxes next year significantly to cover our INS without even adding 2024.
No,
Sure.
it stays within. I sat down and I worked on, because I had somebody ask me what the obligation was gonna be to us over the next few years, you know, adding these items. I believe, I'm sorry.
That document maybe later.
While she's looking at that, I will say one thing now, the $462,000 portion of that has already been spent in the sense that 95% of the filtered waste is already completed at the wastewater, at the water plant. So that 462 is gonna have to pay whether we do it on debt service or we get somewhere else. Everything else is things that you can consider. But 462 have to be by somewhere.
So in essence, to Councilman Swenson's comment, adding this in there would add 0.9 cents to 40.409.
it's getting a lot higher from last year. Maybe when I add all these up, and I know they're just rough numbers, you know, it's 0.1342, so maybe we could do 0.135. I don't know, it's,
Rather than the ones with 5.
yeah, I don't know how much that's really gonna save,
I don't
but,
really move the needle.
and then if we can not do, if we can wait, are the hydrants, is that a fire hazard?
So
If we could wait on any until we get some money back from the water treatment plant. We can go.
I'm gonna remind you about two things. The 462 And then, sewer installation, you had looked at, an agreement with neighborhood gas station and the brewer issue. So there are things that we have to do eventually. I don't know if we have to do that right now, but we're gonna have to do the sewer installation at some point. Filter waste we're gonna have to do. The hydrants, yeah, we go another year with having hydrants that are underperforming or don't work entirely. I don't know.
What about that one? Post office is covered up.
That's one of the,
Definitely.
there's one of those road near our own road. Public Works Barn of the work. I mean, these are all going to be kicked down the road.
It's kind of like a public safety hazard.
I just think it's something they're gonna have to do. It's instead, the city has to take on. Or not.
So if, for the debt obligation 25-26, without the 2024A, runs around $794,000. So where we're at right now is at $785,998. So that's without it.
Okay.
With it, it'll be about around 890,000.
I also, the more we increase the INS, the more it chips away at the M&O. And I wanted to make sure, our M&O is already really high. I think it's actually below, it's a little less than I like it to be. And then it just chips away and, that's another reason.
And just to clarify on that, on your question, so that was the numbers without 2024A, but if we add that in and it's passed with this budget,
Okay, and with
Right.
this budget, it would be 855,998.
okay, and if assuming we don't take on any more debt next year,
It would be at 889,875.
so it should not impact our INS.
Yeah.
Still an increase, so maybe 85, 89. So you gotta come up somewhere.
Well, and you have a lot of cushion. There is an unbalance in INS. There is money in there that could cover that to where you could eliminate.
They don't factor that into the rate.
Okay.
And from the revenue side, this does not include potential savings from the new meters.
No.
That is not.
Or increased revenue. Like on that side.
We expect to get revenues from the meters. We just don't know how much. So I do expect to get something from that.
This campaign cost.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on that? Time to entertain a motion before we go. Okay. Let me ask you this, what's the impact of approving the 2024A at 1.35? You gotta do calculations, yeah.
Well, I don't think all the numbers from Steve, I don't know if we better than
Yeah, I'm concerned about,
me.
concerned about the public safety thing, obviously, it's not doing something in 2024A, I think it's the wrong move, protecting the city. So I think, again, we're right up against the wall on approving this budget, so I think we need to obviously come to a decision. I feel really strongly about the sewer that needs to go, it should have been there 10 years ago. And the city has not met its obligations, it's let that language for 10 years. So I think if Councilman Swenson's point, if we remove $130,000 or so, now if we approve the full 1.5 of that 2024A, and now on October 9th, we only approve we do not approve the fire hydrants and the VFDs and drop that a little bit, or we find some other money, can we adjust the tax rate?
No. It would only to your INS funds. I mean, the money would still be there, but it would still, we would not be able to change the rate price of district. Today is, it is.
It would help for next year.
Yes.
Well, I will move that we approve item number 1. Consider approval of funding public works projects of 1.5 million and adjusting the INS taxes.
That's up to 1.5. Yes, we got to check the spending.
It will not change the
But it will put the rate up. It won't put the
We'll
tax.
put the rate up to
You're gonna tax the
Just
citizen
41
with
cents.
if it is.
points 409,442.
Correct.
Yeah, it'll look about a 9/10 of a cent from what we had. 9/10 of a cent per $100 evaluation.
I'll second.
Yeah, motion and just a second. Any other discussion?
I have a question, if we do 1.35, is that to close over, to go over on some of these projects? And also, does that, I didn't ask you before, I had the tax rate, so is that gonna be a problem?
it won't, the tax rate is still, it's, but it's going to probably drop it to about 0.407. So you would have your 7/10 of a cent
Yeah,
more than the 9 cents.
but in addition to that portion, it would give us, if won't our M and O go up a little bit?
No, M&O's not changing at all.
Because between without the CO and with the CO, the M&O.
Yeah, we didn't do any changes within other than the dollar amounts didn't change in the M&O, nothing changed there, it adjusted
The rate and the surplus does. Between the two, right? That's.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
That's the
there.
difference.
Well,
A
and-
little more surplus in the M&O,
correct, yes, sorry, yes.
but I'm sorry, I should have asked.
No, I'm
before
sorry,
how much
no, that's
that-
okay.
How much that will actually.
And a list of projects are 1.35 million. So they're a little under 1.5.
Yeah, so can we make it work if we just put 1.35 and put the tax rate at whatever that is, and then. I guess that's what I would propose. Cause it helps the M&O a little bit. And helps keep the tax rate down, but I don't wanna go over.
Well, and the reason why the listed numbers are 1.35 is because a lot of times things go up and down. And I wanted to have about 10 to 15%. I didn't want to go back 1.5 because then it probably go over. So that's why we.
And if we do. If we don't.
So trying to give you about 15% way longer.
1.5 is 15% over.
Yeah, so that's what, about 10% over.
For cost overruns, that's.
Awesome.
That happens.
Yeah, but if we're gonna get some back from the water treatment plant. Plus we have some INS balance.
So you can do a budget amendment in a few months when you have a better idea, we start getting money back. We're gonna have to do a budget amendment through the year anyway to adjust. This is not the only time you'll be talking about it. So we'll probably do a budget amendment. As money's coming back in, if we get a settlement from the engineer. We'll do a budget amendment.
So like if that happened, we got the money back and then we could pay off part of the loan, then whenever the next budget season is, that's when the tax rate increase again.
If there's no more discussion, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed?
Are we doing a roll call on this?
Yeah.
No, not on this one, not on the
Just on
first
this,
one.
okay, this is not the overall tax. rate.
No.
So that's all.
That was three in favor.
No. I was-
No,
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I forgot how to count, so.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure. So motion carried 3-1 with Moses opposed and Ward abstained.
All right, we'll go to item number 2, of new business, consideration, discussion, and take action on approval of ordinance 2024-008-0080. From the city of Blanco, Texas, setting and approving the municipal budget for 24-25 fiscal year. Funding in this municipal purposes, authorizing expenditures for items for communities effect and acting title and budget to be the, and this is a.
It's in front of you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to be out again.
So based on the passage of number 1, this will be adjusted in this approval to the point 409-442. Correct.
The budget will be amended.
Yes.
Yes.
So I should add to that motion as
Yes.
amended, with consideration of that. Any discussion on that from anyone? I guess my only question would be, then is a conflict of interest that comes over from item number 1 to just approving the budget for Mr. Morales. If he feels like there is a conflict, he can just say,
I don't believe it's any conflict of interest in that respect.
I'll entertain a motion. Or I'll just make that. Oh, I'm sorry, this is roll.
But you can make a motion and then,
Make a motion to hold the roll call.
okay. Is there a second?
All in favor of having a roll call vote on this?
So wait, I'll call your name if you have to say for or against, like approving, this is to approve the budget. Mayor Pro Tem McClung,
Or
Councilmember Swenson, or Councilmember Moses,
Against.
Councilmember Cargill, Councilmember Moore. So motion carried 4-1.
item number 3, consideration, discussion, action on approval of resolution 2024-R06 of the City of Blanco ratifying expenditures, filing of the budget, and the dealer effective budget, municipal budget for fiscal year 2024-25, funding municipal purposes, authorizing date and proper notice. And for those that are interested, the last authorizing date and proper notice was previously referred to as
We're on ratifying. So any, city council must take a separate ratification vote to adopt any budget that raises the total property tax revenue. So we're just ratifying it. That's not there yet. And this will be another roll call vote.
That sounds like a lot of document motion.
We do.
I move, we take a roll call vote on item
Is there a second?
So
Okay. The motion is for approval of the ratification of the resolution 24/016. One. Four.
Four.
Okay. Councilmember Swenson. Four. Councilmember Moses.
Against.
Councilmember Cargill. Councilmember Moore.
Or.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. Item number 4, consideration, discussion, and take action on approval of the 2024 maintenance and operating budget at the proposed rate of 0.178.
So that'll be changed.
That's 170.
0.170, that's not down.
Yes.
Well, that's a piece of.
Go ahead and keep that.
Okay.
1700.
Yes.
Instead of 170, instead of 1780.
Any other discussion on that?
Can you call out the breakout of the ad valorem?
Yes, total tax rate is, 0.4094 per $100. The INS would be 0.2394 per $100. And the NNO would be 0.1700 per $100.
Okay.
So this is just for approval of the NNO.
Correct, which is 1700.
And at that rate, we still have, you don't recall, a net.
19,000.
We had a discussion on that. I will make a motion that we approve the M&O tax rate for the 2025 budget to 0.100. Oh, thank you very much. 0.17. Motion and second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, is it-
No. This one's not roll call. We're not there yet. Regular. Raise your
All in
hand if you're
favor?
for.
All opposed? All right, item 5, consideration, discussion, and take action on approval of the 2024 debt tax rate. Proposed rate of 0.239442. So the 2024-2025 debt obligation.
Did you say 2394?
I said 239,442. I believe that's correct.
0.2939442.
Yes. Any discussion on that? I'll entertain a motion. Stay on the roll and make a motion. The tax rate for 2020-2025 debt obligation of 0.239. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? All opposed? Number 6, consideration of section discussion and take action on the approval of ordinance 2024-0-9 the city of Blanco, Texas, setting and approving the 2024 annual loan tax rate levy as proposed for
That is this one.
I know, I have.
But it's a roll, and it's, on the paper. Yes.
This one?
It's on,
Yes.
1.4,
it's on,
1.9442.
Is that another?
it's on his blue post-it note.
Increase.
This says 280,060. 119. 19 even. 0.
Little piece of paper.
That's an overall 19% increase. Probably compared to the last 3 months.
It's 4.4.
44, and that's 19%.
Questions on it also? We were talking about the maximum increase of the number 3.5. So just for edification for those in the public that may not understand what we say, at the main part of the meeting, we can't raise the tax rate more than 3.5%. And if we have a motion to raise it 19%, that would support that conversation.
Not raising the tax.
That's the
It's
revenue.
just the revenue.
That's the percentage of revenue.
Yes, I remember you and I talked about.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
that's right. So I think there was some social media comments that they were raising the tax rate 19%. Raising the revenue.
The revenue.
Thank you.
Yes.
like,
So I'll repeat my.
traffic and visitors.
And I, 6. Ad valorem tax rate and levy at the proposed rate of 0.40944. 2, increases revenue of 281,160.91 cents, a 19% increase. That's the motion. I'll actually have to let everybody have a discussion, just jump right out of it. Is there a discussion and or second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion, I have a second. Is there any further discussion? Then I will move, we have a roll call for the revenue increase motion.
Mayor Pro Tem McClung,
4.
Councilmember Swenson,
Or,
Councilmember Moses,
Against.
Councilmember Cargill, Councilmember Moore.
4.
Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, number 7, consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of an annual hotel occupancy tax funds request in the amount of $150,230. A presentation on this. Meeting. So there's no discussion here. Do you have anything you want to say? So we should entertain a motion for item number 7 to approve the Blanco Chamber of Commerce budget request, $54,237 occupancy tax.
That was motion, but you want to entertain one?
I'm entertaining one.
Entertaining one. Okay, one. On the motion that we approve the annual hotel occupancy tax funds requested, the amount of $154,237 for the Blanco Chamber of Commerce.
I will second that.
The only discussion I had, thank you, Councilman, I was going to motion.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, the only comment I'll make is this this a one-time 154, or is this ongoing? Do you feel like it's what it will be?
What was the starting question? I'm sorry.
So, because I know the revenue coming in is like 130, and so this is 154. So just looking forward in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, do we feel like this 154 is the run rate over the next few years, or is this a one-time deal for 25?
I think it would be make more sense to probably go to a percentage if possible. I think that way we take out the question mark for what is.
But no, this will not be, this is based on this year.
Okay.
Unless we change the way we operate and talk about it.
Adjusted annually based on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if we have a really terrible year and there's no hotel stays and our money's way down, obviously we're not gonna ask for that much money. But
Okay.
we know that it's there and there's more coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And clarify, I wasn't opposing or anything. I just was questioning this on the numbers.
Yeah, no, we've consistently gone up over the years, as we get more occupancy revenue, especially with the extraterritorial jurisdiction money coming in, that just puts more money.
And then you're
upgrading new software and stuff this year too. Well, a big chunk of that is that Placer AI, which just yesterday I had my second call with them and learned how to put in the traffic pins. And I think that's gonna be really valuable information for all of us, so.
But as I recall, also, some of this is already obligated for contracts that needed to be signed
Yeah,
to get the discounts from this company.
yeah. And I've got a little stack of them that are DTC. But hopefully they'll forgive me for being late, but yeah. Thanks.
Put heads in bed. Keep going.
I think we have a motion and a second.
We do.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carried unanimously.
And the last item is consideration and discussion and take possible action on approval of request of hot funds in the amount of $42,000 and $42,007 for Christmas lights. Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. This sounds like it's more than a line of that one time.
So the one-time portion, I think, is electrical upgrade, and, the cost, it will probably be close to that $15,000 the other year, but the $25,000 is probably one time. Right.
Yep.
All right.
So theoretically, the tree trimming, once that's done, they'll do minimal maintenance moving forward. The electrical will be a one-time thing. And then the lights would be recurring as we progress through and become more of a holiday community.
I'm ready to bring back like this. And just a little point of clarity, if you'll indulge me, on that way to Blanket Chamber of Commerce, because we have a separate bank account, a separate pot account, we have a way to keep that money separated the way that it needs to be. So that's the only reason why it's had Chamber of Commerce. It's just gonna run through that.
Thank you for that
And
clarification.
I'm sure this goes without saying, but I gotta ask anyway, the courthouse is okay with the electrical upgrade.
We're very grateful.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes, thank you for asking.
All right, so
You probably make any kind of donation. Yeah.
was that an official motion?
Yes, it was.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second for item number 8 to allow $42,007 in hot funds for Christmas lights for Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. No more discussion, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lancaster City Council supports our Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Now, Ray didn't tell us again why you want those lights.
A lot of reasons, and mostly because I don't want to be taking the 1-year-old daughter to jump to see it. I want to be able to
Think of that.
I think a lot of parents feel about it.
The last item on our agenda, we do not have an executive session. Here, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I would like to say one comment. This is really good news because we're right under 60 minutes. Having recently survived a 5.5-hour meeting, the meeting less than an hour to make it like that.
You think happy hour.
Yeah.
All right.